All right, folks, you have 5 minutes left to order, so call now. You're going to see at least 3 and perhaps 4 world record-setting performances. The monster trucks are rolling out to get into the position for their qualifying heat. There'll be an 11-machine heat. There'll be a semifinal round, and then the finals. The largest purse that these monster trucks have yet run for, as we have an evening of superlatives and hopefully a safe evening of jumps and world records to present to you on Stuntmania 1. Call your local cable company or your satellite provider now. Ramp inspection, the final one there for Ernie Adams' jump being undergone right now, so call now, and in just about 4 minutes we'll be here to bring it all to you live on Stuntmania 1. Call now to order. We've got 2 minutes. Over there. Potential for splat written all over it, and he hit the truck, landed in the softness in the bed of the truck. I don't know if it was filled with hay or whatever, but he did that. He did a water ski jump over 12 boats, did a crane car drop, and a jet boat jump into a semi-tractor trailer for 52 segments of that's incredible. 12 segments of NBC Sports World, including Sky Crash 2 mid-air head-on collision on purpose. Motorcycle jump over 2 helicopters, and you saw the world record car jump into water at Firebird Lake in Phoenix. So Spanky Spangler is no stranger to extreme stunts. There are the monster trucks getting set for their jump competition. We'll run an 11-truck heat, then a semifinal round, and up to 4 finalists in the final round for the largest purse they have ever competed for. There is Pam Vaughters in her Ford van. That little grocery getter right there is about to make its jump, and the rest of the trucks lined up behind her. Of all of the stunts that we'll see tonight, here's the starting order. Boogie Van, that's Vaughters, then Nightmare, Dragon Slayer, Chandler's Bigfoot, the Carolina Crusher, Airborne Ranger, and Barefoot, the Barefoot Dodge, Equalizer, Gravedigger, big crowd pleaser around the country, Monster Patrol, and Predator are the 11 trucks that will be jumping tonight. Let's try Brett Kepner again.
An unbelievable gentleman with an unbelievable task ahead of him.
Ernie Adams' first jump at age 19. He jumped 10 cars in Lewisburg, Tennessee on a motorcycle. One night the ramp broke. They had to take the door off the men's room to complete the ramp so he could complete the jump, and he did it. If there is any way that the wind will subside, Ernie Adams will make that jump tonight. That is the only one of our stunts that is weather dependent tonight. Everything else will go, weather or not. Pam Vaughters drives Boogie Van. It's a 94 Ford Aerostar with a 557 cubic inch big block Ford. Estimated horsepower, 1,500. Just the kind of thing you want to take to the store and bring back the groceries in. And she's getting ready to make her first run in this opening round. I've seen Cup cars didn't handle that well.
I've driven Cup cars that didn't handle that well.
So Pam Vaughters, they'll take the measurement on her jump and see if she is one of the 8 drivers to transfer into the final. She is 31 years old, stands 5 feet 5, 135 pounds soaking wet, and she's marshaling 1,500 horsepower right there. Here is Nightmare getting set to be our second truck to make an attempt. It's a 95 Dodge Ram with a 557 cubic inch supercharged alcohol-injected Hemi. This truck weighs 10,000 pounds, puts out over 1,200 horsepower. Andy Hoffman is the driver. Andy's 35. He's from Huntington, Indiana. Has 15 years in racing, married with 1 son. Those Goodyear tires are 66 inches diameter. There is a look at the ramp that he'll take off from. Little trouble getting fired up here. And running. Gonna fire it up one more time here. Gets it in gear.
My father's got a Dodge truck. They run them on the race team. It doesn't look anything like this.
No, it's a little lower down. Runs on the Craftsman Truck Series in NASCAR.
It's run here, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I think he did pretty well here. I think he finished in the top 10 here, so that was pretty good.
See how Andy Hoffman fares. They are jumping for distance.
It's hard to believe this thing weighs 10,000 pounds and is going to jump for distance. That's an amazing fact in itself.
Good point.
I think he's running the fuel off so it'll be lighter. I don't know what they're doing.
Think a couple pounds will make a difference?
It may. You never know. 10,000 pounds, give or take 2 or 3 pounds, it could make a difference.
All right, they were doing a little grooming of the landing area. That's what Andy Hoffman is waiting for as a go signal.
It's kind of like when I hit into the sand trap. I should groom them, yeah, but I don't. Okay.
Right. Here he goes. Andy Hoffman trying to be one of the 8 drivers that will transfer to the semifinal round. Good, clean, under control jump.
I tell you, we were back here earlier when they were unloading these things out of the trailer. I wish they had some of that on film to see how they put these things in a big trailer and then pull these things out, pump the tires up, put the tires on, do all that. They've got cranes on the back of these big trailers to haul everything around, so it's pretty cool.
Next truck moving into position. Let's get down to Brett. Here's a Chevy S10. This is Chevy's compact truck. This is Dragon Slayer. Bad Boys Racing out of Layton, Utah.
I'm not sure we could classify this as a compact, though.
Well, I don't think so.
At this given time.
525 cubic inch big block Chevy, 1,500 horsepower. Runs alcohol. It's a Donovan block of Chevy design. GMC 871 blower. Runs on methanol, Lenco 3-speed gearbox. 4-link suspension with 26 inches of travel in the back. 26 inches. Imagine, the shocks are about a yard long.
The Winston Cup car gets about 3.
Yeah.
3 inches of travel on a right front or right rear, maybe. 4, maybe.
9 foot tall, 10,000 pounds the weight. Firestone tires, 12 feet wide. That's why they have to take it apart to get it in the trailer. This is a cam on that thing.
Sounds like my Harley. They just sit there and lopes. That's where they're supposed to be. Wow! That's a massive jump right there.
Craig Christensen gets some air.
That was pretty incredible.
Michael Jordan doesn't fly that far.
No, I like the way he was on the accelerator when it was up in the air, just playing with it.
So the groomer comes back out. Christensen goes back to the pit to prepare for what he hopes will be his move into the semifinal round. So Dragon Slayer's run and Bigfoot is next. Here's another look at Dragon Slayer's launch. You see the grill bouncing around up there?
It's just the whole body is bouncing on the chassis itself. It's amazing. He really accelerated as he came off the ramp. He got a lot of height. The guy before him didn't get quite as much height. I'm not sure about the distance part of it, but this guy got a lot of height up off the jump.
Well, looking at the angle of the last part of that ramp, it certainly looks like height is going to equal distance. Bob and Marilyn Chandler's Bigfoots have thrilled crowds for ages, ever since this sport got started. This is a 97 Ford F-150, the new body. 572 cubic inch Ford Hemi, 1,500 horsepower. Again, an 871 BDS blower. On top of that, a Ford C6 tranny. ZF axles, 8 nitrogen-charged Trailmaster shocks and Firestone tires. Front and rear steering on this truck.
He's got neck straps and neck braces. He's got everything to keep his head steady as he goes through this. Because even though it's got that many shocks, he thinks out when they hit the ground.
Oh, Dan Ruddy driving Bigfoot. It's a lot of distance, 32 years old from Freeport, Illinois. He's been driving this truck for the last 7 years. Had 6 years in racing prior to that. The Monster Truck Racing Association Driver of the Year in 1993 and 95.
These guys keep jumping this far, they're going to have to move the pit a little bit farther down. He was well past halfway.
Let's look at the launch here. I hope we don't have a man on that camera. That's close. And he's out to the third set of markers, so that certainly looks like it's going to move him into round 2. 108 feet the distance for Bigfoot. Here's the Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter is the driver. He's from Wadesboro, North Carolina. 512 cubic inch Chevrolet, putting out 1,200 horsepower. Turbo 400 transmission, a Profab quick change, and Combs 26-inch nitrogen-charged shocks. 66-inch Goodyears on there. That truck is 11 feet high, 12 feet 4 inches wide. Gary is 35 years old. He's been running trucks like this for the last 11 years. 1991 point champion. Says, have you driven over a Ford lately? That's what it says on the tailgate. Carolina Crusher.
I was walking around down there earlier. A lot of these guys are from the North Carolina area for some reason. So I got to pull for him because he's, being from North Carolina, that's not too far from where I'm at.
Yeah, but how'd you like to see that coming at you on Route 220?
I don't want to go there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Remember, that's
I remember. That's
my father in the truck. That's not me in the truck.
Okay.
That's a whole nother story.
Little tough landing there for Porter. Didn't come down quite as square as some of the other trucks. I don't think he got quite as much distance. Interesting, Kyle, you don't see a lot of wheel spin as these trucks come off the line.
No, you don't see a lot of, and that's what's amazing. You don't see a lot of wheel spin, but you see a lot of acceleration. I mean, they accelerate really, really quick from their starting point to where the ramp is. You know, they're booking pretty good. To be able to go 100 feet or 75 feet in the air as a 10,000-pound vehicle, you've got to accelerate up to speed fairly quick.
Boy,
yeah.
He comes down hard, nose first.
Look how everything just twists when he lands on that thing. It's amazing.
And the distance, not impressive, 77 feet 3 inches for Gary Porter. Kyle, the way that nose came down first, it almost looked like he was off the gas. Well, let's see, was he off the gas earlier, or did he keep it on too long?
I don't know. I wouldn't have a clue how to drive one of these things. What's amazing is the guys that are jumping really long distances are jumping like motorcycle guys jump. They're leaving the ramp, they're accelerating, they're landing on the back tires first. That's taking the brunt of the blow, and then they're coming down on the front. He landed pretty square, and even in motocross or anything, when you see somebody land like that, they land pretty hard, and a lot of times they get pitched off the bike, but these guys are hanging on a little bit.
Airborne Ranger is Joe Seifer. He is in a 93 Chevy, 510 inches, 1,200 horsepower. And this truck is operated by hand control. Joe gets around in a wheelchair, but he gets this truck down the strip. He's had to do a little steering correction there. Ooh. Looked like he came down, squeezed the wheel and throttle at the same time. Turns it around. Pretty truck.
I don't know how these things turn. That's as amazing as they are jumping.
This truck dedicated to all the U.S. Army Airborne Rangers, past, present, and future. Runs a 4-link swing arm on that one. And again, not sure if his distance will be enough to advance him to the next round. Barefoot is our next truck. Big factory Dodge set to go. Fred Schaefer's ride. Back-to-back title winner in 92 and 93. 572-inch Dodge, 1,500 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Blown, injected with alcohol. Joe Seifer's jump only 60 feet. That's going to make it tough for him to transfer. Schaefer helmeted and that big neck roll to cushion the landing. There's a look at Barefoot, one of those new Dodge Ram bodied machines.
I think he's got these Goodyear tires, but look at the front tires. He's got a lot of the tread shape on the front tires.
Good jump. That's past the 100-foot mark. Made a little steering correction coming right off the line, and then nice smooth sailing through the air.
That's pretty impressive right there.
You know, I kind of want one, especially when I see him take off like that, and then when I see him land, I say, no, thank you. That's smooth. You can really see the suspension travel when that truck comes down.
As they come down, and you can watch, he lands pretty decent. He lands fairly solid. He lands really with the back tires just a little bit before, well, maybe the front tires first. For what I know, I'm just watching it on TV like everybody else. But as he lands, watch his shock travel. The body stays in one place. And I think that's been the key. If you watch the guys that are really jumping long, their trucks, as they land, they don't get out of shape on them. They just kind of, they land, the body goes down a little bit and comes right back up.
Let's meet the driver of Nightmare. Here's Ralph.
Well, that would be Andy Hoffman, of course, Mike. Now, Andy, you guys are used to jumping on dirt, stadium floors and so forth. Here we got some cement for your takeoffs and your landing. That's a big difference for you guys. What have you done to adjust the trucks to make them work as well as they are here tonight?
Well, we've stiffened the suspension quite a bit. The concrete's not giving at all, so we really had to set that up, quite a bit different. We put a new motor in for this event. We're going to have to try and get some more horsepower out of it yet tonight, hopefully.
Shaving tires has become a big thing as well.
Oh, yeah. Shaved tires is a real big help, too.
And how well is the track turned out here tonight?
Oh, the ramp's a lot better than what we were thinking. We were a little concerned about that, but I think we're going to be all right.
And you're jumping into a 35-mile-an-hour headwind. What's that like from inside the cockpit?
That's really not affecting us in the trucks. We weigh 10,000 pounds. It's not that big a disadvantage for us.
All right. Andy Hoffman, the driver of Nightmare, hoping he will advance to round number 2, Mike.
Thanks, Ralph. You still see a very stiff breeze here in Topeka, 30 to 35 miles an hour. Shakes our cameras around a little bit here, too. There's the view that we have from the Master Control Tower here at the end of the world's fastest drag strip. They launched just from in front of where that ramp sits down in what would be the landing area for Adam's cycle jump tonight, weather permitting. Getting set for our next jumper. The Monster Truck Racing Association sanctions tonight's event. Drivers must have a Class A license. A crewman must be able to shut off the ignition from a remote location in case the truck gets into trouble. And you see some of the safety features that are employed. A NASCAR-type safety harness and roll cage. Deflection shields for the engines to shield the driver. Engines limited to 575 cubic inches. That's not much of a limit.
That's not a limit at all.
No. And the transmissions must have a safety blanket or a safety bell housing. And that's pretty much the safety specifications.
And that's pretty standard stuff. The safety blanket and the 5-point harness, that's basically Winston Cup stuff, NASCAR stuff. So that's stuff that's transferred over into other forms of racing.
Getting set for our next jumper. And this is Equalizer. David Morris, 89 and 94 point champion in his S10 Chevy. Ooh, that didn't sound, Kyle, like he got all the power to the ground coming off the line.
No, and as he landed, there were sparks coming out from under. I don't know if he broke something as he went up and as he came down, that something was dragging or whatever.
Oh yeah,
there's something massive.
I think he lost the rear drive shaft. Saw it spinning there as he went around. He may have lost or broken. Yep, there goes the universal joint.
Yeah, it's kicking
Let's see if we can
pieces
spot
out
it here.
Right.
David Morris out of Springfield, Tennessee.
You don't really see anything as he goes off the jump. But as he lands, yeah, as he lands, something definitely bottomed out and broke. And it could have been the drive shaft.
I'm going to guess he took a yoke out of the drive shaft.
These things, like you say, if they're getting 26 inches of travel, that's a lot of travel, and it's tough to really, and like the guy said before, they're landing on concrete tonight, and it's not given like the mud usually gives or the dirt usually gives, even though they've got dirt strips out there.
Well, let's go to our crack archaeologist, Ralph Shaheen, and see what he has unearthed.
Well, Mike, we dug this up. This is one of the pieces that fell off of it. Came right off the drive shaft, just like you said.
That's a drive shaft safety hoop. The shaft rotates within that, so that if something happens to the shaft, it doesn't come up and break anything else or get up anywhere near the driver. And that's Ralph, that looks like a pretty thick piece of steel you're holding there to be popped out.
It is, Mike. It probably weighs, close to a pound, I would say. And you can see it just ripped the thing right off. And as he came by us, it was all flopping and flapping in the wind here. That's a lot of flopping in the wind because there's a lot of wind down here, too. Well,
it's possible that broke on landing. Then again, it's possible that he only had the front differential pulling as that truck went off the ramp because he certainly did not get a lot of distance. This is Gravedigger. That's more like it. That's 100 feet.
Yeah, easy. And like you said before, this is a crowd favorite. This guy, they travel around everywhere, put on exhibitions. all over the country. We race a lot of places, and you'll see where they're going to be at a county fair. They're going to be doing something. So this is a very popular truck.
Dennis Anderson is from Poplar Branch, North Carolina. Where's that?
Somewhere in North Carolina. How about that? Is that a good answer?
I'm sorry.
I tell you what.
I didn't mean to blindside you with that one.
No, you got me on that one. I really don't know where Poplar Branch is, but I will say this.
Ripping down.
Hey, Ralph.
Mike, look at this. This is when the landing, and this is how hard it hit. This all compressed when he hit. Look at all the fluid dripping down here. When he hit, the whole front suspension totally collapsed and used every bit of the travel on the car that he has in here, and it is just ripping everything out, and there's fluid all over the place. Smells like radiator fluid.
I'll bet it would. 103 feet, 4 inches for Gravedigger, making its impression there. And that will certainly be enough to get him into the next round. Ralph?
We got Dennis climbing out of the truck right now. Let's see if we can get to him. Dennis? Buddy, quite a jump, and it looks like he might have done a little damage to the front of the truck.
I don't know. I tell you, we got a blown head gasket that's pumping some fluid through the radiator, and I don't know. I haven't checked it out yet. We added 500 pounds of weight to the truck on the nose of it for a long jump, and I might have my shocks valve just a little too light for it. If we didn't do any damage, we'll go back and tune them in, and we'll give her another shot.
Well, it's all radiator fluid all over the front of it. Trust me, I can smell it on my hands. You went about 105 plus feet. Congratulations on a great jump.
All right, thanks a lot.
Now, why would you add weight to the front of a 10,000-pound truck? As he says, it's for a long jump. An arrow flies straighter with weight in the head and should get the right kind of trajectory and landing angle. That's why they threw some extra weight on there. So interesting thought.
Yeah, this is a totally different science to this than a lot of other things you do, you know. And like these guys said, they're jumping strictly for distance tonight. You know, they're not running a course, they're not doing anything. They're just coming out here, they're jumping and trying to get as much out of it as they can. And, you know, they do it on a weekly basis and do it year in and year out. And obviously they know what they're doing.
Well, check the wing on this one. This is Monster Patrol with a 572 Keith Black Chevy, 1,500 horsepower. Finished 6th in the points in 1994. 66-inch Goodyear custom-cut tires on lightweight rims. Case tractor axles front and rear. Running out of Portage, Indiana. Paul Schaefer. This is not the Late Show, Paul Schaefer.
You know, one of the things you notice as you look at these guys, he's sitting on the left side of the truck, like everybody does in their everyday trucks. If you notice some of these other trucks, like the Gravedigger and a couple of them that's gone, they've specially built chassis where they sit dead in the center of the truck to balance the weight from left to right and stuff. So this is, I mean, you know, I don't know if this is a stock chassis or what they've done or how they do some of this stuff, but there's big differences in a lot of these things that go out here.
And there's big trouble with Gravedigger. They're towing Gravedigger. Look at how big a machine. They're going to tow him back to the garage area, and he says, no, never mind. He says, we'll just drive it there.
You can see the fluid on the ground where he's just been sitting right under him right now.
Well, hopefully he hasn't dug his own here tonight with that hard landing in round 1. All right, the lights are ablaze on Monster Patrol. Paul Schaefer from Portage, Indiana, pulls down on the shoulder straps and gets set to try to go 100 feet or better. That's what it'll take to move up to the semifinal round. Coming up to the staging line and set to go. I think that's only going to be about 80 feet. You could hear as he came off the line, he started off, the truck went sideways, and he had to pedal it.
Yeah, he had some power. When he mashed it to leave the line, it pulled the front tires off the ground. And he's one of the first ones we've seen that's really been able to accelerate and pull the tires that much. Maybe that's why he's got the wing on that thing to try to plan it, like the drag cars that run here at Topeka most of the time. But you know, he definitely had some juice when he left.
Yeah, as he came off the line, the truck veered to the right, and he really had to get out of the throttle to get it started in the right direction. There he goes. You can see where the truck, nose of the truck comes down. He had to get out of the throttle, and that hurt his distance. Paul Schaefer, Monster Patrol, looks to be 85, 90 feet. And it's going to be close whether he makes the cut for the semifinal round. 93 feet is the official distance.
See, like we were talking about before, and they were talking about shaving tires and stuff. This truck, obviously, and the truck before it, basically it's got a stock tire on it. It doesn't have the shaved tire. A couple of the guys that have really jumped for distance have shaved the tires. They're a little bit slicker, and obviously that cuts down on the drag or the roll resistance.
Let's check with Brett.
I'm back, guys.
Hey.
They had to take me to the hospital and thaw me out. That's where I've been. But to be quite honest, I've been standing down here and at the finish line screaming my lungs out along with the rest of the fans here. This is the most incredible jump-off competition we could have imagined, and there's a reason for it. You've been talking, I'm sure, about the $20,000 to win prize. But you have to remember the animosity among some of the top monster truck drivers. And right now, Fred Schaefer, the driver of the Barefoot Dodge, managed to do what he wanted so badly to do, and that is beat Dan Runny in the Bigfoot Ford by a matter of 2.5 feet right now, over 110 feet. Now, keep in mind that a lot of the monster truck drivers said before this event started that they thought they could break 150 feet. Well, we'll never know because, remember, the trucks, as opposed to everybody else, are jumping into this 40-mile-per-hour wind, and that is certainly slowing these things down. Now, I heard a little bit about what you were talking about the weight, about the 10,000-pound weight. It's true that the Monster Truck Racing Association, the MTRA, that is the governing body over all different organizations of monster truck racing, mandates a minimum 10,000-pound weight for these trucks. This is an outlaw event, folks. They've taken a lot of weight out of these machines, and I don't think we'll get that many drivers to admit it when we talk to them later on, but obviously, considering that they're putting these things in the air and trying to fly them, the less weight, the better. The other thing to remember is I heard you talking about cut tires a little bit. One thing's for sure, Fred Schaefer in the Barefoot Dodge, he cut them all the way down. Got to remember, Fred Schaefer's an old pro stock drag racer. He's also using one of the only trucks here that uses a clutch instead of an automatic transmission. That's going to help him launching on concrete, and with the tires shaved completely down, he's got the world's largest slicks all the way around that thing. Now, Alan Pazzo and the Predator out of Michigan, which uses a supercharged Chevy for power, is up next. He could threaten these guys, but it's Schaefer over Bigfoot with Gravedigger third right now, going into the last jump of the first round. Let's see what happens.
And the word is that the leader at the end of round one may get a bye in round two if no one in round two eclipses his first round distance. So it's very important to be on top of the pile at the end of this first round. Here comes Predator. And I think the Predator has fallen victim to the bigger fish in the pond here tonight. And it sounded, Kyle, like he may have just let off just as he got to the ramp instead of powering up and over it.
I tell you what, you know, he was talking about these things having automatic transmissions and stuff. That thing started off, and then it sounded like it slipped a little bit, tried to grab a gear again. It didn't sound much like an automatic transmission. It just sounded like he went from like first to fourth gear all of a sudden, and he ran out of complete juice by the time he got to the ramp. And I think he knew it and realized it, and he didn't want to tear anything up. He just kind of limped over the ramp, went on in.
So it doesn't look as if Allen may advance to the next round, Brett.
Well, I haven't actually gotten the official measurement on Alan Pizzo, but Kyle, you were pretty much right. It sounded like he spun the tires, and keep in mind that when Fred Schaefer cut his massive rear tires, and front tires for that matter, he was planning on it being 60 degrees or whatever, and that the asphalt would be warm enough to give him drag racing style traction. However, Pizzo's problem is something that we saw earlier today in some of the time trials that the drivers had, and that's the fact that it's so cold out here. The alcohol burning, fuel injected supercharged engines are having a hard time keeping up at running temperature, and you know what that's like as you run all kinds of different engines over the years. Because of the cold temperatures, only the drivers who know how to keep the engines hot back in the pits, and that includes oil heaters, as a matter of fact, is one of the tricks, are going to be able to come out here and run that well. This afternoon, by the way, in time trials, keep in mind in this first round, the drivers have 100 feet approach to that huge ramp. The winners, I believe 6, or is it 8, Mike, coming back? Is it 8?
8 in the next round.
8 coming back in the next round will have 150 feet approach, 150-foot approach, and then after that, when the quickest come back for the final round, 200 feet approach. So we'll find out who the official winner is after this round.
So on a 600-pound ATV, no thank you.
It's, you know, I grew up in stock car racing, and obviously my family did with the Petty name and stuff. And the Arfons name, as far as jet-powered vehicles, other than aircraft, is just incredible to watch, to see how that family has progressed. And Tim grew up with it, and obviously he's carried on, and he's probably got kids coming along after him.
Well, the Monster Truck semifinals are coming up here in a minute. And we're checking once again with Forbes Field and the FAA tower on the wind situation here at Topeka to see if Ernie Adams can make that sky cycle jump. And Spanky Spangler trying to go over 200 feet in that automobile. Let's get an update from Brett on the monster trucks.
Well, I was just going to say, gentlemen, that this particular round, of course, they will have 50 extra feet of approach room, and that is going to make a world of difference. From 100 feet approach to those 5-foot high ramps to another 100, well, it's going to be 150 feet when they start this time. And again, this will determine the finalists that will come back for $20,000 to win. More importantly, however, this is where it gets serious, because obviously the trucks that are coming out right now have already proven themselves in the initial jumping competition. I would fully expect to see a few people in this round. Certainly don't want to pick any names individually, but fully expect a few people to push this a lot farther than needs to be here in the semifinals. This could be a really scary round.
Well, that's because only 4 drivers will advance to the final round for a shot at the $20,000 first prize. So 150 feet is going to be the startup distance here.
You know, these guys they had 100 feet before, I guess, was their startup distance, and they were jumping 110 feet. You know, so when these guys start jumping 100 or getting 150 feet of startup distance, or 200 feet in the next round, whatever it be, they were talking about jumping 150 feet. That's incredible with these pieces of equipment,
especially with a 10,000-pound truck. So Nightmare, Equalizer, the Carolina Crusher, Dragon Slayer, Monster Patrol, Gravedigger, Bigfoot, and Barefoot. That's in the reverse order of how they qualified for this semifinal round. There they are.
So now wait a minute, Barefoot goes last this time. Does Barefoot get a bye if nobody jumps further than 110? Was that the way it was?
I believe that's the way the rules were explained to us, is if by the time he gets to go, if no one has exceeded the distance he ran in the first round, he gets a second round bye and goes straight into the finals. That's the advantage of being the fastest qualifier.
And those are the rules.
Or longest qualifier, excuse me. Okay. I'm still going around in circles here.
I got you, and that's the rules, right?
That's the rules.
I drive Winston Cup cars. I disregard all rules. You know that. So I don't have a clue what they're talking about when they start throwing these rules out.
Would you like to try this?
I'm not sure. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I wouldn't mind getting in one and just kind of like messing around. I'm not sure I want to jump. And if I jump, I don't want to be that close to a guardrail. I mean, they're pretty close. When you really get down here and start looking at where they're at, they're jumping in a tight little area. But I tell you what, walking around here, today and looking at the trucks, the monster trucks, looking at the motorcycles, looking at Doug's bikes, looking at Ernie's bikes, looking at all the stuff Spanky's got. There's some pieces of equipment here that rival anything you see in IndyCar racing or drag racing or Winston Cup racing. I'm telling you, a lot of thought, a lot of engineering goes into these things. It's not that they just go out and build a big truck and decide to do something with it. There's a lot of engineering that goes on.
Oh, the craftsmanship and the ingenuity and engineering is pretty tremendous. Round 2, the semifinal round. 8 trucks, only 4 advance. A lot of noise, but how much distance for Nightmare? 95 Dodge Ram for Andy Hoffman out of Huntington, Indiana.
Andy was one that they interviewed before that said that he was going to go back and work on his shocks and try to get some things to try to readjust some of the stuff, because the concrete is posing a problem for these guys as far as their takeoff area and as far as their landing, because the dirt is really not that thick where they're landing at.
Let's have another look at this run. Oh, a lot of height. And he's right at about the 100-foot mark. He only a little shorter than last run. Excuse me, longer than his last run at 80 feet 5 inches.
But you can see how the truck never settles down. As it hits, it continues to bounce, and it bounces to the left, bounce to the right. It never settles down. When you watch the Barefoots or the Gravediggers and you watch those guys land, they've got their shock thing pretty well figured out, where they just land solid, they bounce maybe one time, and the shocks take over.
He came down hard on the front wheels too, Kyle. And then that started that rocking motion back and forth. It took a while for that truck to get settled.
Yeah, it takes a long time for these things to settle down.
Carolina Crusher comes into the blocks next. Equalizer has lost an engine and falls out of this second round. So it brings us to Carolina Crusher.
it's a shame you come out here and lose an engine like that, because these guys came from a pretty good ways away for this. Ooh.
Oh, Gary Porter bounces his way past the 100-foot mark, it looked like.
Yeah, that looked like a really good jump. Really
good launch.
Jump. He didn't have that good of a first jump, as we talked about it. Like I said, I'm going to have to pull for him because Carolina boy. So, but the first jump didn't look that good. But if you see this thing when it lands, he's almost sitting on his wheelbase a little bit crooked almost as you look at it some. I don't know if something broke on his when he landed. A lot of height in this jump. Lands pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty square, but
he gets off. It pitches to the left a little bit, and the body rolls to the right. And he could have broke a shock or something on that one, because it looks like it does get away from him a little bit here towards the end.
So there's Gary Porter. About to climb out of his Carolina Crusher. 108 feet, 6 inches. That is the second longest jump of the night, Brett.
That was a good one, buddy. 108.6, but I don't need to tell you that this thing's leaning hard to the right after that one.
Yeah, Brett, it sure is. I was just going for it. The landing and everything felt good. The jump couldn't have been any straighter. And I broke a shock mount off of the right side, and I think I'll be through for tonight.
You think it broke it, too?
Oh, yes, definitely. It broke the shock mount, and that's why the frames dropped on the right side there.
And there's no way you can get it back?
No, we'll be out for tonight.
You must have known that the minute it landed.
Well, no, I didn't know exactly what it was. I looked around here when I was backing up, and I seen what was broke, where the shock mount was broken. We're through for tonight.
I'll tell you what, that's a tough way to give up that much money.
Yeah, it sure is, Brett. It's sort of disheartening. We come way out here for this world competition. We was hoping to go away a winner, but, it just wasn't our day. We'll have to try it again.
Now, honest to goodness, this may seem weird that I would ask you this quick. If you're not going to be in this in the next round, who do you think's going to walk away with this thing?
It's really going to be a toss-up, I think, between Bigfoot and Barefoot. They run the hardest the first round, and I think they'll continue, and they'll come on out here a little bit further.
And they're the best of friends.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, right.
Back to you.
Well, Carolina Crusher has the second longest jump of the night at 108 feet, 6 inches.
But they talked about going back and changing the compression and changing the bump and stuff in their shocks. That shows how rigid these shocks are. He didn't break a shock. He broke a shock mount. He broke it off the frame completely. And, if he'd have broke a shock, he could have probably gone back and changed shocks. But breaking the frame is something totally different.
Craig Christensen from Layton, Utah, riding Dragon Slayer. Sounds like a bull riding competition. That's how these things react. Here we go. I didn't think that thing. Whoa! Watch that guardrail. Didn't think that thing was ever going to idle down.
No, I didn't either, man. And it got away from him when it got back on the pavement there. It got away from him a little bit.
I think the Dragon may have gotten Craig. Craig spends a lot of time with community projects, Boy Scouts and DARE programs when he's not racing. A little steering correct there. Another one.
That thing hit really hard right there. Really hard.
Look at that right rear axle.
Yeah. See, these guys, just like they said, this concrete is so hard. They're landing on this stuff, and it's breaking stuff. And if they start pushing it and trying to pressure things, they're going to break stuff like this.
He is right close on to 100 feet. I believe it's going to be 98 feet and change. 98 feet, 3 inches for Craig Christensen. Another look at it here.
Yeah, when he hits hard, you can see it dragging right there. It just spins him to the right.
So now your truck has got to run long enough to get to the final round, but it's got to be strong enough to survive to get to the final round.
He's going to try to drive this thing back in, it looks like. And he can probably get it back in. You were talking about him doing community work and stuff. A lot of these guys that drive these big trucks do a lot of community work and a lot of charitable work, and especially with kids, because kids love these trucks.
Oh.
You put one of these centers or something or at a dealership, and people just flock to them.
Pretty neat deal. Let's go to Brett.
Well, actually, we're waiting to see Craig even get it over here to the turnoff road. I think it may have broken the throttle spring. Believe it or not, I think he broke the throttle linkage when it landed. He's reaching behind him, and I don't think we're going to be able to stop him, but that was his best jump of the night. We know that. And keep in mind that truck uses a Bruno transmission. It is a combination automatic transmission and manually shift transmission. It's basically a Lenco clutchless transmission with a converter, and it's one of the harder launching trucks out here. But so is Paul Schaefer, the guy coming up.
Paul Schaefer is on Monster Patrol with that 572 Keith Black engine. 1,600 horsepower, they claim for this one. Has custom-built gas shocks and springs under it. He's got to go long enough to make the finals and be strong enough that the truck will run in the final round for $20,000. And he comes to stage. Paul Schaefer from Indiana, Monster Patrol. Yeah, that's over 100 feet. That launched hard.
Yeah, he's got some massive acceleration in this truck. I can see why he runs that wing on it, because it snaps the front tires off the ground whenever he gets on the gas. In his first jump, you know, he had a little bit of trouble controlling it off the line. It jumped away from him a little bit as it pulled the tires and veered to the right, and he had a steering correction. But this one was a good, clean run off the line. Got good acceleration up over the jump.
There's the 100-foot mark, and he's well past it.
These guys keep jumping like this. I think Barefoot's going to have to jump.
Paul Schaefer ties for the third longest jump tonight at 108 feet. So that's the second longest jump of this round, tied for third longest tonight. Brett?
Well, that's good news for the man coming around the side here. You know, this guy used to race up around Chicago, land in late model stock cars. That's where that big wing came from. So Kyle Petty, who just watched your jump and said, man, that's about as much air as we've seen from anybody, he was impressed, and it was 108 feet. That should give you a spot in the final.
I hope so. We got this Van Sentence racing motor running pretty good, and we worked real hard, and this is a tough track.
Yeah, I mean, you've never been in a situation where you have only had to gear this truck for sheer acceleration on asphalt before.
Yeah, and only farthest I ever jumped was probably 50, 60 feet indoors and outdoors, but this is a new experience for me.
What's it like up there?
I tell you what, I can see all the people in the grandstands way up in the lights.
Look down on them.
I'm telling you.
Good job.
Thank you.
So Paul Schaefer may advance, and we're told that Fred Schaefer has chosen to run this round with Barefoot, even though at 110 feet 4 inches he doesn't have to. But he is gearing up for that final round, and so he will make a run. There's some family autographs on Spanky Spangler's jump car, wishing him good luck and happy landings. He's going to try to go the length of a football field tonight as Spanky's daughter signs in. There's Christie signing the release sheet there.
Yeah.
And the world's most famous car crasher will try to launch that Chevelle over 300 feet in the air. All right, Gravedigger is set to go for his second run. Remember the problem that Ralph alluded to with the cylinder head and leaking antifreeze. No matter. Well, that could be the run of the night right there.
It's pretty impressive, and you see when he lands, and the last 2 or 3 that have landed, the guys that jumped long in the first round didn't have to make a lot of major adjustments to their shocks and stuff, and their cars or their trucks really land smooth, they land level, and they're able to accelerate away from the landing. Where these guys are getting in trouble is they're bouncing so much they can't accelerate away from the landing. He jumps up off the line, and when he hits the ramp, he accelerates right here. He's up in the air.
It comes down square.
Bounces once and lands and goes on. You watch those other guys bounce around 2 or 3 places. You look at the paint job on this thing, and you can see why he's a crowd favorite. The kids love the way this thing looks.
Boy, does he get some air. Waiting on the distance.
He's higher than Spanky's ramp.
Yeah.
When you look at it from left to right, he's higher than that.
Well, maybe he can jump 300 feet. I don't know. Here's Brett.
We're waiting for the distance, Mike. Tell me as soon as you hear it. But Dennis, that was as straight as I've ever seen you in a situation where you were just about ready to try and kill yourself.
Well, I tell you, man, we're getting a lot of air out here, and we're getting some pretty good speed to that ramp. And we don't usually do this with our trucks. We're out there racing, and a lot of people out there know that. But We added 500 pounds of weight to the front of the truck because I've always in long jumps had a problem with the tail end falling out.
So you actually added weight?
Yeah, I added weight to the front of the truck.
Let's see if we get the measurement. Mike?
Hey, Brett, 116 feet, longest jump tonight.
Longest jump of the event, buddy, 116 feet.
All right, good deal, man.
It's
We're
not
hanging in there.
Not just a Bigfoot, barefoot battle anymore, is it?
Well, those guys haven't run yet, and they got a long wheelbase. I've got a 130-inch wheelbase, but, man, I'm going to give them all this old truck's got.
You got two things that are bigger than theirs that I know of, buddy.
All right, thanks.
Let's see, that would be the wheelbase and something else.
Maybe the motor.
Maybe.
Maybe. Let's just call it those two anyhow.
That'll do. All right, Bigfoot is next. Dan Ruddy from Freeport, Illinois, driving this Bigfoot for 7 years. They've got a new 97 F-150 body on it. This truck originally built in the 1993-94 season. Jumped 108 foot last time. Whoa! Hard nose landing. And he had to make a big steering correction to keep that thing upright after the first bounce.
Yeah, that's pretty wicked right there. That could have been bad right there. But that just comes from years of driving these things and knowing what to expect and knowing how to anticipate which direction the truck's going to be. He was on top of it the whole time.
This is one of those landings where you want to call Houston, we've got a problem.
You see as he accelerates and he jumps over the ramp, the thing begins to nose over really quick. Now,
wow.
It takes a wicked whip to the left and then back to the right. But like I said, you know, he's been in this situation before. He's probably been here 100 times. He knew which way to turn and which way to correct, and the truck just corrects itself as he turns the wheels. He's already got the wheels cut back to the right there to catch himself on the other side.
Hey, listen to this. 130 feet 3 inches. That's incredible. Here's Brett.
Coming out of the truck is one member of the Bigfoot crew. Jim Kramer, I want you to come over here as well, because along with Dan Runny, the driver of this thing, here is the man that started monster truck jumping in the world, and certainly a man that Dan, you'll admit, taught you an awful lot of the secrets of this. Jim Kramer, the original touring monster truck driver. Folks, over 130 feet, longest jump by, what, 12 feet?
Thank you, thank you.
Teamwork, teamwork.
Ford Bigfoot's running good, and like he said, teamwork. We got to take it all back to the shop. You know, we got a great bunch of guys there at home. Hopefully they're all watching. We'll have to wait and see what happens one next time. We're going to go for maybe 140.
Well, obviously, the bad boy, as far as you guys are concerned, is still yet to come, because Schaefer wants your butts. I know you want it just as bad. In fact, you're here under orders from Bob Chandler to do everything you can to beat him, and you can't deny it.
Yeah, we are. You're exactly right.
Brett, we got him nervous, though. We got him nervous, I guarantee you. With these Firestone tires, the way they're hooking up, we can do it. We can make 140.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can.
We'll see. Thanks.
That's a tough landing to recover from.
Yeah, it is, but those guys are pumped up, man. You can tell they came for blood tonight, and I think they're after it. They got these guys running scared right now. You gotta admit, you got a guy that's jumped 130 feet. You gotta have everybody else a little bit nervous,
especially this guy.
We can see how he was talking before. You know, he's got the shaved tires. I think this guy, he's going for bear too. Like he said, he didn't show him all he had to qualify.
Barefoot, Brett Schaefer. That's out there.
That's a pretty awesome jump right there. That's pretty awesome. And he didn't seem to have any trouble with the landing. You know, he didn't seem to be straining himself one way or the other.
Brett Schaefer out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois, with 3 world championships in his pocket, looking to add this long distance jump title. We'll see when we get the measurement if he's the leader in round 2, but let's have a look here. What a clean run this was.
He had a little trouble right there. He had to correct about halfway down towards the ramp, but then as he accelerates, he gets tons of air right here, tons. And he is up, and like I said before, they're going to have to move the pit, man, because they are out jumping the pit right now.
Little nose-heavy landing, but none of the problems that beset Bigfoot. Nice and straight, big bounce.
But you can't expect these guys, if they're going to go 130 or 40 feet or whatever they're going to come down on their nose at some point.
Let's get on a long Ralph Shaheen. How long is it?
Mike, how about 141 feet, 1 inch? That's awesome.
That's unbelievable.
That's an incredible jump. These guys said that 150 feet were in their range, and they backed it up. He jumped 30 feet further that time than he did the first time, or a little bit over 30 feet, I guess.
Look at the bear prints there.
That's an incredible jump.
141 feet 1 inch, and Fred Schaefer will take that lead to the final 4-truck round.
I want you to see where these guys are right here at 150 feet. They're at the end of the pit right here. Even though they're backing this thing up and they're trying to do this stuff, 150 feet, they're all but at the end of the pit.
Yeah, they better rake that all the other way.
All the other way. They
keep
need to
raking.
They need to come back here where it says 110 feet and rake it all to the other end.
A little chilly, but a little hot excitement here at Heartland Park. Here is Brett with our semifinal round leader.
Well, I want to know what happened to the glasses.
They flew off.
That's what I thought. Your glasses might have flown off on that run. I'm sure you saw Ronnie ahead of you, over 130 feet. You had to give it everything you had. 140 feet, buddy. It ain't over.
Great, it's not over. It's right.
Now, I saw you get out of the truck and you were concerned. Is there something wrong, maybe?
Yeah, I got a problem back there. I got to get over and find it. My glasses flew off when I landed, and I need to get over there and see what's wrong with my truck.
Broke rear end, hurt motor?
I really don't know. I just started dragging like the brakes was locked up, and it could be that. I could be locking the brakes up when I got on the brakes there.
It ain't over, buddy. 20,000, it's still there.
Thanks. We'll keep going.
Go fix it.
Thank you.
Camera waving as well. If the conditions are like that, it's going to be very, very difficult to make that jump. Let's go back down to the monster truck pits. Here's Brett.
Well, gentlemen, it's not just dancing around. I honestly think the wind may have been picking up here in the last 10 minutes. In fact, the sand in the monster truck pits has actually become a safety hazard for any of us around it. But standing next to me is a guy who at least can see again. What, did you break out the spares?
Yeah, I sure did, Brett.
You never did find the original glasses, huh?
No, we did find them, and I had to put the lens back in.
Okay, well, at least you got that part of it handled. Only 3 trucks are apparently coming back out. Right behind you is the first one, of course, Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson. Then your arch rival. Are you running last in this last round? Will you be the last one out?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so you will know roughly what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, I will, Brett, and we made a few suspension changes, and you know, the way it has been all night, it's horsepower and acceleration. That's what the Dodge Ram has.
Now, out of curiosity, did the suspension changes have anything to do with making it hook up a little bit better because it was spinning?
No, we did the suspension changes trying to get some more height and a little more distance on if we have to make
down here.
If we have to make this final jump.
So you're happy with the amount of power going to the ground?
Well, no, I'm not. It's spinning, but I don't know what to do about that right now on that slick concrete.
Okay, at least that I was correct when I saw it was spinning.
Yes, you
All right, bottom line, over 140 feet on the last jump. Is it going to take more than that on this one? 50 more feet of approach.
Well, I don't know. We're going to wait and see, but our RPMs is up there, and I'm sure those guys are too. We're just about to run out of motor.
Well, you can't possibly back off any on them for $20,000.
You can't back off, but I don't know how much further we're going to get in distance, but we're going to give it all we got.
Hey, if I know Fred Schaefer, and I know the Barefoot guys, and I know Dennis Anderson, you guys would do anything that is possible to win this.
That's right. I'm ready for I'm ready for that last round.
Monster truck fans around the world are ready for it. Good luck, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, and back up to you, gentlemen. This is going to be the monster truck war of all time. Get ready.
Thanks, Brett. Got you a nice deal on a late model Chevelle, only driven in one show.
Wheels and tires still look good.
Yeah, chrome's still on them.
Yeah. Not many miles on them.
Final round of the monster truck jump competition, and then it's decision time for Ernie Adams, folks. Gravedigger is set to go. The Bigfoot Ford and the Barefoot Dodge. It'll be a 3-truck final. The 4th qualifier out with mechanical difficulties.
I'm still sitting here thinking about Spanky's jump, I'm telling you.
That's hard to believe.
That's hard to believe. But I tell you what, I think Spanky said it, you know, when he said, hey, we're not daredevils, we're stuntmen. You know, we take calculated risks. And it's the same thing. There he goes up, he jumps, he does his thing, and then as soon as he lands, in the next 5 or 10 minutes, he's telling the next guy to go up what it's like out there, what the weather conditions are like, and whether they should or whether they shouldn't. So, you know, they're sharing a lot of information here right now.
Well, this is a fraternity just like the garage area at any stock car race, where you're not going to tell somebody how to go fast, but you're going to tell them how to go out there and be safe and have a safe run. So there's Dennis Anderson. He's going to be the first of our 3 drivers who each got over 115 feet. So it's a Chevy, a Ford, and a Dodge in the final round. for $20,000 to win.
Couldn't ask for any more than that.
There's the Ford entry.
You think the Chevy's at a disadvantage because it's older?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Might have a little aero advantage. Looks a little narrower. You know, the bodies now aren't as round as they were then. Everybody's talking about these new rounded bodies. Look how rounded. That's 1950.
That's round. That's aerodynamic. Too bad they weren't racing then.
And I like the flames.
Love the flames. You got to like the flames on anything.
Did you see the flames on his driver's suit? That's pretty cool, too.
Yeah. These guys, you know, this has come a long way. When they first started this thing and started the trucks and doing this stuff, the monster trucks, you know, it was just some guys having a big time. You know, kind of like the tractor pull circuit and some other things that have gone. But this is advanced, just like we said before. This is advanced into a form of motorsports that's taken off and that a lot of people enjoy and come out watching when they go in the stadiums, watching when they're in the wide open places at fairs and things like that. And it's really taken off, and it's opened up a whole nother market for aftermarket products like these shocks and like things like that, to say that it gives a lot of people a new advertising venue, I guess.
Well, these vehicles as competition machines started out as pullers at the county fairs in the 1920s. Doodlebugs, they were called. Farmers would take their tractors, overpower them, overtire them, and they'd have to drag a sled a certain distance. And they'd keep piling weight on the sled until nobody could drag it, and the last guy running was the winner. And look what they've evolved into. Pretty wild stuff.
Really wild stuff. Some of these trucks, they've got as much money. They've got more money in these trucks than you've got in a standard Winston Cup car. I can tell you that right now.
I'll bet they do. Now, if you were Hot Wheels, could you dream up anything this wild, or would you have to make it a copy of something like this?
Oh, no, you have to make a copy. And it has to be an exact copy. But because the kids, you know, it's like anything else. Kids nowadays, and everybody, they want something that they've seen before. They want the Gravedigger. They want the Barefoot. They want the Bigfoot. They want something that they've seen on TV, that they've seen on Stuntmania, that they can go to the store and buy. So these are cool things right now.
Oh, look at this. Head to head.
Head to head at an impasse. These things are so wide, I'm not sure you can get through these things.
They have to take them apart to get them into the tractor trailers to take them home. They are more than 12 feet wide, and those trailers are only 8'6" on the outside.
You know, these are trucks, and like I pointed out before when we looked at the other guy, these trucks were built specifically for this. You see these guys, they're sitting in the middle of the trucks, and you know, he's sitting in the middle of that Ford, they're sitting in the middle of the Dodge, they're sitting in the middle of the Chevy. These trucks were tube frames specifically built for going over these things and doing these things. These are incredible pieces.
There's the longest jumper so far. Fred Schaefer is on a nationwide spokesman for the Race Against Drugs campaign. Goes around to schools touring, telling kids just to say no. He keeps physically fit, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, watches what he eats. And tells the kids that's the way you become a winner. Of course, having 1,500 horsepower doesn't hurt either.
He's only got one bad vice. He likes jumping trucks 140 or 50 feet.
Yeah, he's got that need for speed.
Yeah. That's a bad habit to have.
Dennis Anderson in the final round with Gravedigger, that 1950 Chevrolet body truck. It'll be Chevy, Ford, Dodge in this final runoff.
This time they jump a little bit further. Do they get 200 feet on the run?
200 feet run up.
Just checking for myself. I probably wasn't listening.
No time to change gear in these trucks, so as Fred said, they may be out of RPM before they hit the ramp. Last jump for Gravedigger, 116 feet. He needs 25 feet more to take the lead. Looks close to that 140-foot mark.
He broke something right there.
Yes, he did.
Sparks. I tell you what, these guys have been going all for it. You got a Ford, you got a Chevy, you got a Dodge, you got guys going for 20 grand. This is $20,000 in this jump off right here, and these guys are all mortal enemies. They don't like each other at all. So there's a lot of bragging rights, a lot of competition, and this is something that's going to go a long way for a long time.
Now, he was at 100 feet before the wheels stopped spinning.
I tell you what, it's just like you talked about. These guys have got so much power now. Ooh, he comes down right there.
Boy, that's close to 150 feet.
Yeah. These guys have got so much power right now. Watch these things. It's the guy that gets off the line and gets the power and gets the speed up before he gets to the ramp. He spent a lot of time spinning. Still had an incredible jump.
Well, let's see how far. Ralph?
Mike, there it is right there, 120 feet, 4 inches. And measured right at the back end of the start of the ditch right here, 124. Brett?
That'll keep him in third place, Brett.
We just got the word, 124 feet, and it was probably the most out of shape you've been. Now, keep in mind, the wind, I believe, has picked up. That may have actually kept you back a little.
Yeah, it does, but I tell you, I think I really got squirrely taken off. That was the worst takeoff that I'd done. I spun out. They're backing us up 200 foot now.
It's on fresh asphalt then.
Right, it's fresh, and I think there's a little dust back in there, but I just didn't feel comfortable with the takeoff. But hey, man, I was so far in the mission, I won't know getting out.
Was that a brake line or the power steering hose?
That's just a bent tube off the valve cover.
Oh, okay, nothing but a little oil then.
No, we've been running with a blown head gasket all night, got a lot of base pressure, but hey, man, the old motor put out some good power for us.
Landed hard enough to jar the door open on you.
Yeah, it did. It jarred my teeth too, buddy. Really, you can believe that.
Hey, let's face it. You're the underdog or the working man's hero amongst these three. So you got a lot of fans pulling for you. It ain't over.
Yeah, you're right, man. We got an outdated truck. I mean, I got a brand new one on the press. I wish that thing was here and I could be with these guys right now. But hey, Stuntmania 2, I'll be here with them with a brand new piece of iron.
You may be the winner of Stuntmania 1 yet. Hang on. Back to you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Brett. Bigfoot moves in.
Yeah, like you said, he just spent a lot of time leaving the line, spinning the tires, and he just couldn't get the run at it that he wanted to get. So, I don't know, man. This is pretty wicked stuff right here. I think these guys are going for 20 grand on one jump. That's pretty amazing.
Dan Ruddy aiming for his biggest purse ever in one of the legendary Bigfoot trucks that Bob and Marilyn Chandler tour across the country. This is Bigfoot 14. 1993 chassis, 1997 body. His last jump, 130 feet 3 inches. Ooh. Whoa. And again, that truck lands hard.
That's a 140-foot jump right there, maybe. He's a long way down. These guys are giving it all they got on this last jump.
He had a harder but a straighter landing than his last one.
Yeah.
Let's look at it again.
I'll have him in just a minute.
He comes off the line. You see the tires spin. He corrects a little bit to the left. He gets to the ramp. He's up in the air. He veers to the left, and as he comes down, he's right there at it, man. He's right there at the 50-foot mark, 145, somewhere right along in that range.
That truck pretty much straightened out in midair.
Yeah.
Got off to the right, and here it straightens out to land.
Looks like a motorcycle jumper.
Yeah. But boy, hard on the nose.
He might be a little shorter than that from that angle.
Let's check with Brad.
Dennis, I was just going to tell Dennis Anderson he doesn't have to move because with one other truck left, everybody can hang out down here and find out who the winner is. I'm waiting for you to tell us the measurement as Dan Runny is coming out. What do you got, guys?
How about 136 feet, 11 inches? 136.11.
Well, we'll get Dan Runny out of the Big Blue Ford. And like I said, folks, you have to remember that Fred Schaefer and the Barefoot team is based in Granite City, Illinois, which is right across the river, right across the Missouri Arch from the Missouri side, obviously, where Bob Chandler, Dan Runny, Jim Kramer, and the rest of the boys run Bigfoot. It is an intense rivalry. You needed to at least beat the Digger that had a 120-foot jump. You're over 136 this time.
Yeah, it was a good pass. We're just having problems getting the truck to hook up on concrete. Firestones and Fords working. We're just, like I said, it's a different scenario. We did the best we could do. We'll be back.
Well, nothing can hook up on a cold asphalt surface like this, and that could very well be what is the downfall of Barefoot if he has problems.
Right, exactly, and that's the other thing, Brett. It's cold out here, plus it's windy. We're jumping into the wind. That take something this big, 10,000 pounds, throw it into the wind.
It was the squirreliest landing you've had, too. Kyle Petty said that was a rough one.
That was a rough one.
Yeah. All right, now one more time. Gentlemen, give me the number. What was it?
136 feet 11 inches. He is 6 feet 8 further than his second jump, but he is 4 feet shy of Barefoot.
Okay, 136 feet 11 inches is now the mark to beat in this round, right?
Now that is his second run. That's his second run, and that is the best of this third round, yes.
Okay, that's what we got to wait for now. One more to go.
Thank you.
We'll see what happens.
Now look at the tires on Barefoot, and I think that's a lot of key to success. Anybody that's raced on street tires knows that you shave them down so you get as much rubber hitting the pavement, and it looks as if that's what Schaefer has done.
Yeah, Schaefer, he's shaved his tires, so he's getting more rubber to the asphalt or to the concrete than anybody else here. It gets back into a tire patch. He jumped 140 some feet in the second round. He may not, maybe he got a bye in the third round. I mean, he's jumped far enough to win the thing. He may not need to have used his equipment.
We'll have to check the rules, whether it is the longest jump of the night or the longest jump in the final round that gets the $20,000.
There you go with that rules thing again. I know nothing about rules.
And I don't have the book up here, okay?
Well, here he is getting back in the truck. He was out of the truck. That's what I say. Maybe he got a bye. But maybe in the final you have to make a jump at it or you have to make a pass because there he is climbing back up into it. Or somebody's climbing up into it.
Yeah, I do know that in the second round, the driver had the opportunity to take a bye run if his first round pass was not beat. Well, let's see here as Fred pulls up. He has the longest jump of the meet at 141 feet, 1 inch.
I think this is a victory lap for him right here. I don't think he's going to make a jump.
I think you're right.
He's waving at everybody. I think he's the guy tonight.
He's got the long jump of the meet, 141.1. And it looks like that is going to be good enough to take home $20,000. Fred Schaefer of Pontoon Beach, Illinois. One of the pioneers of this sport back in 1979. That Dodge Magnum powered Ram pickup.
You know, it's like he talked earlier. He didn't show his hand in practice. He showed a little bit of what he had in the first jump and showed enough, just enough in the second round not to have to do anything in the third round.
Now let's celebrate Fred, who is with the winner of our monster truck jump off.
Well, gentlemen, it's not like he didn't tell us ahead of time about that showing the hand stuff. And Fred, the rules clearly stated whoever had the longest jump of the evening, period. That's why we had this last round, to give everybody one last chance with 50 extra feet to see if anybody could knock you down. When they didn't, you knew there was no reason to go out there and push it, I guess.
This is our first one, Brent. We learned a lot tonight, and we're going to take this and we're going to come back and we'll bust that 141.
Now, considering that you and the Bigfoot guys and the rest of the group out there have been involved in this since the earliest days of the sport, since the early 1970s, obviously you are looking at a whole new form of racing these things. I mean, this was a first tonight.
Absolutely. We've never done a long jump like this before in competition. I mean, just playing around. And like I said, we've learned a lot tonight, and I think we can pick up quite a bit of footage in what we learned tonight.
I mean, do you think this could become a competitive way to determine a monster truck champion?
Yeah, I do. It's horsepower and acceleration. That's what the Dodge Ram's all about, and that's what we got, and that's why we're number one.
What if we make you go for FAA physicals next year?
Yeah, I think we're much further than I think that could be.
That's right. I mean, pilot's licenses maybe become a part of the deal, but congratulations to you and everybody involved with this thing. Let's face it. Keep in mind, folks, that the Barefoot team name comes from the fact that Fred and the family has 2 black bears back at home, and I know it's getting late in the year. You're going to have to wake them up to tell them you won when you get home.
That's right, exactly.
And a brand new group of ostriches, I understand.
That's right. We got a lot of critters running around home.
You got weirder stuff than that. That giant Dodge is something to take care of. Congratulations again.
Thank you again.
Back up to you, gentlemen.
Fred Schaefer.